Be better.
we would have really good food.
Do you care if I record this?
I don't care if you record it.
Okay, so say what you just said. What's happening in October? Start with
My
that.
name is Roy Rural Friend, and I was born October 2nd, 1929. That's just a big bit before any of you were born.
Just a little bit.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And I went through 2 marriages. Well, first I went and joined the church. That was the crowning achievement of my life, was to become a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I feel it's the Lord's will that He guided me that I could find the right church. Because I was born outside of the gospel. And I did go to the Pentecostal churches, the Church of the Nazarene, the Catholic Church, and various other churches I went to during my life. But when I got to be in college, high school, I thought I had left the gospel behind me because I knew almost everything that I thought I should know. Now, isn't that right? We actually come to that thing. I know enough about the gospel. I don't need any more gospel. And I didn't go to church anymore. But one day, my brother died. And Daryl died. And it set me back on my conscience, it might say. Because I felt that I was going to have to answer the same call that he had answered. And how was I going to answer that call? Did I really know the gospel? Well, I thought I did. I knew the basic things about it. And I went to see a show, The Life of Christ, which was being shown in the Recreation Center. And I thought, now that is a great opportunity for me to hear about the Savior. So I went to see that show. And during the show, I thought, you know, he did organize his church because he had bishops, and he had missionaries, he had 70, he had high council. He had 70. Those are the only ones I could remember at the time. But he did have an organization, and it must have been a good organization, but how could I compare it to any of the churches that we have today? How could I compare it to the Catholic Church or the Church of the Nazarene? I couldn't. So as I left, as the show ended, then I left with everybody else, and I no sooner got to the door of the theater, and a voice came into my ear. And it said, the true church is on the earth today. And you must go and find it. And I was astounded. And I answered back, well, how can I tell the true church? And the voice came back and said, they will always partake of the sacrament every Sunday. And the church is known for its good works. And so I went out and I started to investigate different churches. And I could find no church that partook of the sacrament every Sunday. And what was I going to do? I couldn't find any church that did it every Sunday. But I just looked around Vancouver. And I knew about the churches in New Plymouth. So what could I do? What could I do? And then a girlfriend of mine was meeting with the missionary, the LDS missionary. And she said she was not going to accept that gospel. But I said, send them over to me and I'll tell them about my experience. And they came over and they said, well, we partake of the sacrament every Sunday. So I found the true church. I was 19. I was baptized when I was 20. first part of the year. And then I was supposed to go down and tell my folks in New Plymouth about it, and all my brothers and sisters. But none of them would accept the gospel. Guess what? Well, I got a job in Boise and told them about the church. And I went up in the mountains in Boise and worked at the Kidnite Mine. And I worked there for about a half a year. And some college kids came through one day and said, "Is this a healthy place to work?" And I said, "I've been working here for a half a year and I haven't noticed any health problems. But it is the healthiest place because it has all this smoke and stuff on the inside. The smell first."
Oh.
And the boss came to me and said, "Did you tell these kids?" And they refused to go to work. So they left. And the boss came to me and said, "Did you tell those kids this is not a healthy place to work?" I said, "Yes. You're fired. Go draw your pay and leave town." And I did. They didn't give you a 2-week warning. No. They didn't give you an extra bonus because you've been working 6 months. No. They just gave me, wrote out my check and said, "There you are, goodbye." They didn't want me in the town. So I went up to Seattle, Stanley was living, and I worked in a business that my brother Stanley was working on, and he was replacing the old coal furnace with a new gasoline, oil burning furnace. So they no longer could burn coal, they had to bring in oil. And my job was to dig the tanks outside the basement, a large place tank, at least be that's wide, and like this long here, down 6 feet or 5 feet, enough to bury the tank, and we'd run the lines through, and that's how I got I had enough money so that I could continue in living. And one Sunday I went home, and there on the paper, there was a job open in Adak, Alaska, and they paid top wages, and you worked 8 to 10 hours a day, 6 days a week.
Whoa.
You only got 1 day off. Mm-hmm. I worked for 1 year and had enough money to finish college. What's that?
That's good.
Only I didn't know how long it would last at the time. But it did last for 3.5 years. And during the summer months, I would go out and work on construction jobs. And then I would pile that money in the bank. So I had enough money to finish the year up. How was that? Yeah. I came back to Seattle, and what happened? The bishop called me on a mission. And the general authority was going to be there for state conference, and he would interview me and see me worthy to join the mission force. And J. Reuben Clark was the general authority. And J. Reuben Clark said, "You're not supposed to go on a mission. You are supposed to go to school."
Well, interesting.
So I said, "Okay, I'll go to school." I went down to Boise on my way to BYU, and there their bishop called me on another mission. And guess who the general authority was? J. Reuben Clark. And I walked in on him, and he said, "I thought I told you in Seattle you were supposed to go to school. You can't go on that shit." So I failed 2 missionary calls. But I did get finished with school.
Clearly that was the purpose.
Yeah. Anyway, that's just a little part of things that I've experienced. And now I'm 85. gone through 2 marriages, and both of them was a problem. And they were both different problems. But the thing that I have to do is to continue doing my genealogy. And what kind of work is genealogy? What kind of work is genealogy?
Family history work.
Oh, no, but what do you do though when you have the name?
You add them to your tree
No,
and
but
then
what
take
you-
them to the
But
temple.
when you take it
Do
to the
work there.
temple. Now I dig up the names, but Jared and Harvey and Sam, they and their wife, they go and do the temple work. I do the temple work for some of mine myself, but I can't do it for all of them. And I have just about 8,400 names that I've typed into my computer
Wow.
on the Friend family and the Tuttle family.
Wow.
But that's been my goal ever since it's been going. And
That's
so
amazing.
I hope I can continue to do this and get as many names in that I can so I can ship them off to anybody that'll do it. But right now, Jared and Sam are the principal ones that accept the names, and then they and their wives, they go to the temple and do the work. And I try to go to the temple one day a week, a month, a week. So how is that for a goal? And hopefully I'll be able to live and be able to collect more information and supply with more names. That's my goal.
That's
What
good.
is your goal?
It's good over like
Jared, would you like to start?
oh, my next.